for the ghost of you in the middle of the night, forgetting for a second that we lost the final fight. My fingers find the memory of the way you used to lean against the kitchen counter and the spaces in between. But every time I try to pull you closer to my chest, I'm reminded why we had to lay the earth to rest. It's like grabbing for a blade that's hidden in the silk. The sweetness of our history is turning into milk. They tell me let it go, like it's easy as a breath, but walking from your shadow feels a little bit like death. So I tighten up my grip until the crimson starts to show, 'cause the pain is all I have of you to hold. And I'm just holding on to sharp edges tonight, bleeding for love that didn't put up a fight. It cuts into my palms, it carves into my soul. But I'd rather be breaking than be feeling whole without the sting of you. I'm just a hollow shell. I'd rather have this heaven in a private kind of hell. Yeah, I'm scared of the healing, I'm scared of the scars. So I'm holding on to sharp edges under cold, lonely stars. There's a jagged piece of sorry stuck underneath my skin, and a splintered I still love you where the cold is letting in. I could open up my hands and let the pieces hit the floor, but then I wouldn't feel the weight of you anymore. The silence is a razor and the memories are glass. I'm watching all the seasons and the happy people pass. I'm the only one who's staying in the wreckage of the crash, turning every fire that we had into ash. My hands are tied in ribbons of what if and maybe so. I'm addicted to the friction, I'm afraid to let you go. Is it love if it's killing me? Is it worth the heavy price to keep on building mansions out of melting blocks of ice? Scrubbing tea stains off the counter edge, in the quiet of a house that's lost its soul. I'm hanging pictures on a crumbling ledge, trying hard to make the fragments whole. I saw my face in the hallway glass today. It didn't look like the girl you used to know, just a tired ghost who's learned to stay, while watching all the colors start to go. They say a little glue can fix the break. There's only so much pressure I can take before the map of us begins to crack. Now I'm just staring at the cracks in the porcelain, watching the white turn to lines of gray. I'm holding on to what we could have been, but I feel the pieces slipping all away. It's a fragile kind of hollow, a delicate despair. I'm reaching out for someone who isn't there. Just a kitchen full of shadows and a heart spread thin, counting all the cracks in the porcelain. We used to be a masterpiece, a polished shine, something solid that the world could never shake. But bitterness is like a slow poured wine. It seeps into the spots that start to ache. You stopped looking at me with those steady eyes, and I stopped trying to bridge the miles between. Now we're just two strangers in a thin disguise, acting out a part in a broken scene. Yeah, they say a little glue can hide the fault, but the structure underneath is turning cold. Everything we built is coming to a halt, a story that we never should have told. I'm standing in the hallway where the sunlight hits the floor, but it doesn't look the way it did before. The mirror caught a heavy word and shivered on the wall. Now there's 1,000 tiny versions of the fall. I'm picking up the slivers with my bare and shaking hands, trying to remember all our summer plans. But every piece I lift just shows a different side of you, a version of a story that I never thought was true. It's blinding when the light hits just the right degree. A million jagged ghosts of who we used to be. I'm cutting through the silence, I'm bleeding in the dark. past at 2 a.m. Another shows the shadow of the girl I might have been. I turn them in the palm of my hand and watch the colors shift from the beauty of the anchor to the terror of the drift. You're scattered on the carpet, you're glittering like rain, a beautiful mosaic made of nothing but the pain. I try to fit the corners, but the angles never match. There's no part of this wreckage that a human heart can patch. Don't look too close, you'll see the cracks in my skin, where the light of the memory is letting itself in. It's a prism of almost, a rainbow of no, watching the spectrum of us one and go. I'm looking at the dust on the wedding guest book, at the forever we wrote with a steady hand. It only takes a second, just 1 second look, to see the castle sinking in the shifting sand. We built a fortress out of whispers and stone, but the stone was just paper and the whispers were thin. Now I'm sitting in the kitchen, entirely alone, watching the winter let itself in. It's a heavy word for a heart so small, to think we could carry the weight of it all. But the ink starts to fade and the promises bend, until always is just a way to say the end. folded in the corners of this room, creased by every word you never said. The heavy air is thick with coming gloom, and memories are hanging by a thread. I try to be a vessel for your light, to hold the weight of everything you feel, but I'm just thin white sheets against the night, waiting for a wind that's far too real. One drop of rain and I'm beginning to tear. One heavy breath and I'm suspended in the air. I'm made of inking lines in hollow spaces, looking for home in all the hollow places. And I'm just fragile as a paper bird, trying to fly on a broken word. I'm drifting through the static and the gray, afraid the sky will wash my wings away. I'm light enough to lose, I'm easy to forget, a silhouette of hollowed out regret, high above the ground but never truly free, just as fragile as a paper bird can be. You used to smooth the edges with your thumb. You held me like a secret in your hand. But now the winter's here and I am numb, scatterbrained and sinking in the sand. The ink is running, blurring out my name. The story that we started has no end. I'm just a little scrap inside the flame, watching all my crooked edges bend. Don't crush me in your palm, don't let me fall. I'm too thin to survive it all. I'm just a prayer written on a page, locked inside a wire mesh cage. I'm standing in the garden where the green has turned to gold, but the air is feeling sharper and the sun is feeling old. I remember when we planted every promise in the dirt, before the seasons shifted and love began to hurt. Now the branches are all heavy with the weight of used to be, and I'm shivering in a sweater that you bought for me. I'm watching for a signal, I'm waiting for a sign, but the colors are all bleeding on the property line. One little gust and the sky begins to fall. I'm leaning my tired back of the words you never heard, brittle as autumn leaves dying forward. You're walking on the sidewalk like you don't feel the snap of the memories you're crushing in the middle of the map. I'm a brown and jagged mess scattered across the lawn while you're looking at the winter and the coming of the dawn. I used to be your canopy, I used to be your shade, but I'm just another debt that you never really paid. I'm drifting to the gutter, I'm dancing with the rain, trying to find a way to make a beauty out of pain. The trees are standing naked, they've got nothing left to hide. They've let go of the vanity and the secrets deep inside. I wish I could be honest, I wish I could be bare, instead of just a dry and dusty thing hanging in the air. I'm sitting by the window in the grayest light of dawn, trying to remember where the better days have gone. There's a spool of silver memory and a needle made of pride, trying to keep the heavy ache from spilling out inside. I'm sewing up the silence where your laughter used to ring, tying down the shadows and the ghost of everything. But the fabric's getting thin now, it's wearing at the seams, and I'm running out of colors for these faded hollow dreams. One tug on the line and the stitches start to pull. I'm trying to stay empty, I'm trying to stay full, but every time I breathe I feel the tension in the knot, holding on to everything that you already forgot. And I'm just walking around with a heart tied with thread, living on the echoes of the things we never said. It's a fragile kind of mending, it's a delicate design, trying to keep your heartbeat from tangling up with mine. If I move too fast, if I let the feeling show, the whole thing might unravel and finally let you go. It's a tangled mess of maybe and a never-ending dread, just a hollow, heavy heart tied with thread. I patched the hole you left behind with a scrap of not enough, but the needle keeps on breaking. standing in the hallway where the light is dim and cold, staring at a story that's already been told. I used to see a fire, I used to see a spark, but now there's only shadows stretching out into the dark. I'm tracing every line that the lonely years have drawn, wondering exactly where the better me has gone. The glass is cold against my skin, a silver-plated wall between the girl I used to be and the way I had to fall. If I could reach inside and pull the memories out, I'd wash away the maybe in the shadow of a doubt. But the surface is a surface, and the truth is hard to hide when you're looking at the wreckage that's living deep inside. And oh, it's just a mirror full of regret tonight, reflecting all the times I didn't do it right. I see the way I let you go, I see the way I stayed in the middle of the mess that my own heart made. It's a silver line confession, a jagged kind of view of a life that's missing every single piece of you. I'm haunted by the ghost of a girl I used to get, staring at a mirror full of regret. There's a crack across the corner where I threw my wedding ring, a tiny lightning bolt that changed just about everything. I see the way my eyes have lost the habit of the sun, counting up the damage of the things I haven't done. I wanna break the image, I wanna smash the frame, but even in the pieces I'd still see my own name. You're not in the reflection, but you're everywhere I look, like the final heavy chapter of a very long book. The glass doesn't lie, it doesn't even blink. It watches as I stumble, and it watches as I sink. It's the only one who knows the secrets that I keep in the hours of the night when the world is fast asleep. I'm walking on my tiptoes in the dark. afraid to make a sound or leave a mark. We used to dance across these wooden floors before we started locking all the doors. Now every step I take is like a blade, the price for every promise that we made. I see our shadows dancing on the wall, but they don't look like they're in love at all. It was crystal clear, it was diamond bright, till the heavy words came out tonight. One slip of the hand, one crash on the floor, and I don't recognize this home anymore. Now I'm living in a house of spilled glass, watching all the golden moments pass. I'm trying to sweep up the pieces of us, but the dust is turning into a lonely trust. Every memory has a jagged edge. I'm standing on a narrow silver ledge. It's beautiful and dangerous and sharp as a knife, trying to find my way through a shattered life in this house of spilled glass. I see your face in every broken shot, the way you laugh, the way you hit so hard. The windows cracked, the mirrors split in two. Everything I touch reflects a part of you. I'm bleeding from the palms, I'm bleeding from the soul, trying to find a piece that's still whole. But the more I try to mend, the less we meet, the more I'm cut by the debts that haven't been paid. Don't turn on the lights, I'm not ready to see how much of this wreckage is actually me. It's a minefield of sorry, and never again, where the healing stops and the scars begin. I'm sitting on the edge of a bed made for two, with a needle made of pride and a thread of miss you. Trying to pull the edges of my spirit back tight, to stop the cold from leaking in the middle of the night. You left a jagged opening, a mountain-sized tear, when you walked out the door and dissolved in the air. I'm weaving through the memory of the way we used to be, trying to find the girl that you took away from me. One breath too deep and the fibers start to fray. One sharp thought and the color turns to gray. I'm knotting up the almost and the should have been, trying to hold the light behind my paper thin skin. And I'm just a soul in stitches, I'm sewing up the silence where your laughter used to live, with more I'm sorry's than I ever had to give. It's a fragile kind of mending, a delicate design, trying to keep your heartbeat from tangling with mine. If I pull too hard, the whole thing comes apart. Just a soul and stitches and a bandaged up heart. There's a scar across the center where we used to be one, looking like a map of the damage we've done. I'm patching up the forever with a scrap of not today, watching all the vibrant pieces start to drift away. The thimbles getting heavy and my hands are getting numb from the repetitive rhythm of the what have I become. Every stitch is a secret, every knot is a lie, tying down the parts of me that really want to cry. Don't touch the seams, they're still a little raw. It's the messiest ending that I ever saw. I'm held together by a prayer and a stream, waiting for the winter to take everything. The porch light is flickering, a dying neon pulse. I'm trying to be steady, trying to be someone else, but the floorboards are screaming with every move I make, like they're echoing the sound of the promises we break. I remember the altar, I remember the white, before the colors bled into this long and hollow night. Now the heart but it's just a house of splinters and a heart full of plows. And I'm tired of treading on these broken and the choices that we take, the till death do us part is a heavy rusted chain dragging through the kitchen in the middle of the rain. We used to be a fortress, we used to be a home. Now we're just two statues made of coal. I'm looking at the ruins of a Tuesday night. The tea is getting cold under the kitchen light. You didn't throw a plate or even raise your voice. You just looked at the exit like it was your only choice. We were built out of lace and the finest of sand, a beautiful kingdom that I couldn't command. Now there's a quiet kind of wreckage on the hardwood floor, and I don't think I can call this a home anymore. It's the way your eyes soften before they went cold, the way that our always started looking so old. No sirens are wailing, no buildings are down, just a soft muffled heartbreak in the middle of town. And we're just a pair of delicate disasters, cracking the pain and the laugh and the plaster, a slow motion crash that didn't make a sound, just the weight of two people hid in the ground. It's a fragile kind of ruin, a soft spoken and the kind of broken that you can't even bend, just a mess of frame started shaking, and it wasn't your fault. We were just too thin for the weight of the world. A flag in the hurricane that finally unfurled. If it was a tragedy, I could find someone to blame, but it's just a slow flicker that ran out of flame. No blood on the pavement, no tears in the street, just the sound of two hearts skipping a beat. It wasn't a lightning bolt or a sudden landslide. It was the way you stopped reaching for my hand on the drive. The way the good nights got shorter and the how was your day became a script we both memorized just to have something to say. I noticed a hairline crack on the edge of your favorite cup, a tiny little blemish that we never even brought up. But then the sink started leaking and the paint started to peel, and I realized the silence was becoming too real. You don't notice the mountain is turning to dust until the gold in the locket is covered in rust. One little chip, then a splinter, then a tear, until there's nothing but gravity and a cold kind of fear. And oh, it's the weight of small fractures tonight, pulling us down from the warmth and the light. It's 1,000 tiny breaks that you can't even see, creating a canyon between you and me. It's the almost and laters and not right nows, the invisible cracks in the middle of our vows. I'm sinking under the pressure of what we didn't repair, just the weight of small fractures hanging in the air. I'm looking at the photo from 3 winters ago, before the ice in our voices began to steadily grow. If I zoom in close enough, I can see the first line where the yours and the ours stop being the mine. It's the sigh in the hallway I could find some glue. I could build a new version of me and of you. But how do you fix a million microscopic steps when the healing is just picking at the smallest of scabs? I'm sitting on the carpet where the box used to be, looking for the version of the girl who still felt free. I found a ticket stub, a Polaroid, a ribbon made of blue, but they don't fit together like the way they used to do. The edges are all frayed now, the colors started bleeding. I'm searching for the oxygen that my lungs are needing. I try to line the corners up to find a common seam, but you can't mend a nightmare back into a dream. There's a hole in the middle where your heart should reside, a hollow kind of canyon where I used to hide. I'm reaching for the glue, but my hands are shaking cold, trying to rebuild a story that's already been told. And I'm just staring at the pieces I can't put back, watching all the vibrant colors fade into the black. I've got the blueprint memorized, I know the way it goes, but a shattered mirror never reflects the rose. It's a puzzle with 1,000 parts scattered on the floor, and I don't think they'll ever make a picture anymore. I'm missing the foundation, I'm missing the track, just a pile of the pieces I can't put back. to be fixed with a prayer. Some things are meant to just vanish in the air. I'm holding on to nothing but the dust of what we were, while the memories of us are starting to blur. I'm standing in the center of the kitchen floor. Listen to the lock turn on the front door. The ceiling's got a sag I didn't see last week, and every time I breathe the floorboards start to squeak. We built this life on a foundation of soon, waiting for a change in the phase of the moon. But the soon turns to never, and the never turns to no. And I'm watching the cracks in the drywall grow. It's not a sudden storm or a bolt from the blue. It's just a slow erosion of me and of you. A mountain of sorry and a valley of it, standing on the edge of a jagged dark cliff. And I'm just crumbling under the pressure tonight, trying to find a way back into the light. But the weight of your silence is a ton of lead, and I can't get the goodbyes out of my head. It's a slow motion collapse, a quiet kind of fall. I'm leaning my heart against a shaking wall. I'm turning Didn't happen with a thunder crack or a sudden glass shattering sound. It was just the quiet widening of a gap as the common ground turned into hollow ground. I watched the dust settle on your side of the bed, while the clock on the wall kept its steady beat. There were 1,000 things we never said. Now the silences await in the summer heat. It's the creak of the floor when you walk away. It's the sigh of the door at the end of the day. A hairline fracture in a porcelain cup, waiting for the moment that it all gives up. And oh, it's the sound of breaking slowly, the quietest landslide you'll ever see. It's the rhythm of a heart becoming lonely as you drift an ocean away from me. It's not a crash, it's a long, low moan. The sound of a house turning back into stone. Just a muffled snap in the middle of the night. The sound of us losing the light, breaking slowly. I'm listening to the static on the line. When I call and you don't have much to say. We're doing great and we're doing fine as we drift the wreath, throw the years away. It's in the way you don't look up from your phone. It's in the way I drink my coffee black. We're sitting here together, but we're all alone. And there's no road left to lead us back. If it shattered all at once, I could scream. I could wake up from this heavy dream. But it's a slow erosion, a steady rust, turning everything we built into silver dust. I'm sitting in the glow of a single lamp, tracing the lines where the world got rough. The air in this bedroom is heavy and damp with the weight of not being quite enough. I bought a kit to fix the things I broke, gold thread to stitch the open seams, but every word that we ever spoke is tangled up in these shattered dreams. It's the quiet kind of labor, a slow motion war, trying to remember what we were fighting for. My hands are shaking as I pull the knot tight, trying to survive another lonely night. Now I'm just a collection of carefully mended scars, holding together under indifferent stars. I patched up the holes where you walked away, but the ghost of your touch is still here to stay. It's a beautiful ruin, a map of pain, trying to stand up in the pouring rain. I'm stronger in the places where I fell apart, but I'm still just a girl with a bandaged heart and these carefully mended scars. You can see the light through the cracks in the mend, a reminder of how it all had to end. I don't try to hide the damage anymore. I've stopped checking for your key in the door. There's a strange kind of grace in the way that I heal, in the jagged edges of the ray that I feel. I'm learning to love the parts that were torn, like a rose that's defined by the sting of its thorn. They say time is a healer, but time is a thief. It steals the memory, but leaves the grief. So I'll keep on sewing one stitch at a time until the rhythm of the needle starts to rhyme. I'm sitting on the edge of a bed that feels like stone, trading all my secrets for a dial tone. I gave you every map I drew, every hidden key, but you just used the open doors to walk away from me. tab is on the table, and the lights are turning low, and I'm looking at the balance of the things I didn't know. I bought into the old ways, I invested in the weed, but the interest on the heartbreak is drowning me. And it's the cost of caring too much tonight, paying for the shadows with the pieces of my life. I put my soul on credit, I bet it on your name. Now I'm standing in the ashes of a lopsided flame. It's a heavy kind of debt, it's a high and lonely price to find out that your fire was just a trick of the ice. I'm bankrupt in the spirit, I'm broken in the touch, bankrupt from the cost of caring too much. You're moving through the world like you never lost a cent, while I'm still tallying the time that we both spent. I remember every I love you like a coin in a jar, but I can't buy a ticket back to who you really are. I'm overdrawn on kindness, I'm depleted on the trust, watching all my gold turn into common grain dust. I should have kept a little back, I should have saved a part, instead of giving you the deed to every corner of my heart. They tell you love is free, but they're lying through their teeth. There's a jagged little invoice buried underneath. It's written in the silence, it's signing every tear. The most expensive lesson of a wasted hollow I'm running my hands for the breakfast nook, where the wood is dry and the finish is gone, like a chapter ripped from a favorite book. In the hollow gray of a Tuesday dawn, we used to be polished, we used to be smooth, a solid grain that the world couldn't bend. But the friction of living and the search for the truth brought a jagged kind of break to the end. Every I miss you is an debts that haven't been paid. And I'm just picking up the splinters of a lost life, cutting through the silence like a dull, rusty knife. It's the tiny little pieces that hurt the most, or hold the fragments of a story that'll never be told. I've got the dust in my lungs and the sting in my palms, trying to find a melody in these broken down songs. Yeah, I'm bleeding from the memory of a husband and a wife, just gathering the splinters of lost life. There's a shard of a Sunday stuck in the rug, and a sliver of a forever in the handle of your mug. I see the places where we used to fit so tight, before the grain started warping in the middle of the night. You can't sand it down, you can't make it even, not when one of us is staying and the other is leaving. It's a rough cut ending, a splintered off soul, and there isn't enough varnish to make the wreckage whole. Don't touch the edges, they're deeper than they look. They're the always and the nevers that the wind took. It's a minefield of timber, a forest of regret, where the sun on our faces hasn't quite set. The sun is hiding behind a wall of slate, like it's ashamed of the way we left things late. I'm watching the horizon turn a violent shade of blue, a perfect reflection of